Working the graveyard shift at an isolated apartment hotel is usually dead quiet. You just sit there, staring at the walls. But at exactly 2:30 a.m., the front desk phone violently broke the silence. It was the guy from room 404. He aggressively demanded I bring up a pack of cigarettes. I politely told him we didn't offer that service, but he instantly snapped, threatening to file a massive corporate complaint if I wasn't up there in 5 minutes. I had absolutely no choice. I grabbed the master key and walked down the freezing, dimly lit hallway. When I got to 404, the door was already cracked open. A thin sliver of yellow light was bleeding out into the hall, but what made my stomach drop were these weird, dark green spots splattered across the hardwood floor just inside the room. They looked thick. They looked wet. Before I could even push the door open, a deep, hoarse voice whispered right against my ear. "Just give it to me." I literally jumped out of my skin and spun around. Standing directly behind me in the dark hallway was the guy who checked in yesterday. His face was completely covered by a black surgical mask. He didn't move. He just stared at me with these dead, cold eyes. I immediately noticed his right hand was hidden inside his heavy coat, clearly gripping something that looked exactly like a weapon. He leaned in close and whispered, "Long-distance relationships are really tough. Aren't they on you?" My blood ran absolute ice cold. I had never told anyone at this job about my boyfriend. How the hell did this total stranger know my name and my relationship status? He forced me inside the room. My eyes immediately darted to the center of the floor. Lying face up, completely motionless, was a man. His face was covered by messy hair, but I instantly recognized his clothes. It was Wang Qiang, my boyfriend. He was dead. I completely broke down. I couldn't even scream. The air just left my lungs. The masked man just stood there, totally calm, and casually pulled out a clear plastic evidence bag. Inside was a small, blood-stained fruit knife. It was my knife, the exact one I kept in the staff room. He looked right at me and said, "Your fingerprints are literally all over this room from when you fixed the leaky cig yesterday. And his last text message says he was coming here to see you." This absolute psychopath didn't just murder my boyfriend, he flawlessly framed me for it. He gave me a chilling ultimatum. I could either call the cops right now and spend the rest of my life in a concrete cell for a brutal murder I didn't commit, or I could cooperate with him. Trapped and completely terrified, I nodded. He dragged out a massive, heavy-duty suitcase. We had to physically lift Wang Qiang's body and cram his limbs inside. His body was still warm. It was still soft. Every single time his arm brushed against mine, a piece of my sanity completely shattered. We zipped it up, dragged the heavy suitcase down the back concrete stairs, and shoved it into the trunk of a beat-up silver van. We drove in complete silence for over an hour, heading deep into the pitch-black suburban wilderness, miles away from any security cameras or city lights. The van finally stopped in the middle of a dense, dead forest. The moonlight was barely cutting through the tree canopy. We pulled 2 folding shovels out of the trunk and walked into the thick woods. We found a spot where a deep pit had already been half dug. He had planned this entire nightmare in advance. We started shoveling dirt in the dark. After 30 minutes, my hands were completely blistered. I tightly gripped the heavy metal handle of my shovel. He was facing away from me, distracted. This was my only chance. If I swung hard enough, I could knock him out and run blindly into the trees. I slowly raised the shovel above my head, holding my breath. But before I could strike, he suddenly stopped digging and turned around. He reached up and pulled down his black mask. The pale moonlight hid his face, and I completely froze. The heavy shovel slipped right out of my sweating hands. I knew him. He was the older brother of my college ex-boyfriend, Qin Yong. 2 years ago, Qin Yong got diagnosed with a severe terminal illness. Things got too hard, too depressing, and I cowardly packed my bags and completely abandoned him when he needed me the absolute most. His brother looked at me with pure, unfiltered hatred. He told me that Qin Yong didn't just die from the sickness. He died of a completely broken heart on the exact same night he saw my social media post. A picture of me smiling brightly with my new boyfriend, Wang Chang. He didn't bring me out here just to frame me. He brought me out here to destroy my entire life, just like I destroyed his brothers. My legs went completely numb. I collapsed into the cold dirt next to the open grave, realizing my dark past had finally caught up to me, and there was absolutely no escape.
Cured my blindness, witnessed a murder. Here's the story time of how I ended up in a literal 1v1 with a serial killer. So look, I'm legally blind. Desperate for a fix, I dropped a massive bag of cash on this sketchy, dark web miracle pill. I took it the second I got home. And no cap, it actually worked. My vision came back. But my main character moment was instantly ruined when I looked up and saw this. Hold up. These hands? Not mine. And this definitely wasn't my apartment. I live alone, no guys allowed. I realized I was literally seeing through someone else's pove. And before I could even process that, the guy I'm spectating creeps up on a dude and absolutely unalives him with a baseball bat. One hit, done. I was completely cooked. I just realized I was sharing a pove with an actual serial killer. He started, well, taking care of the body. I'd never seen anything this messed up in my life. I tried to look away, but I couldn't control the camera. It was his eyes. Panicking, I squeezed my real eyes shut, hoping to cut the Bluetooth connection to this psycho. Thank God it worked. Half an hour later, I open my eyes. Boom, back in his pove. He's standing outside an apartment. The camera pans up. Door 707. Bro, 707 is my apartment. No way this is a coincidence. Right as he raises his hand to knock in the vision, I hear the actual knock echo through my real apartment. He was literally at my front door. He claims he's property management checking a leak. Yeah, right. I slapped my hand over my mouth, went full NPC, and didn't make a single sound. It felt like an eternity, but finally, he got in the elevator and left. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The adrenaline crash hit me so hard, I literally passed out on my bed. Next morning, my phone blows up with a news alert. Local serial killer targeting single women with messy hair. Bro, my jaw dropped. I was completely targeted. I survived night 1, but this creep was definitely coming back for round 2. Suddenly, my vision glitches again. He's looking at his phone. He's scrolling through our building's tenant group chat. And then my phone buzzes. A friend request. He was coming for me. I'm a tiny girl. There is zero chance I win a physical fight against this guy. My only option? Run. I instantly dial my bestie. Told her I felt sick and asked if I could crash at her place for a few days. She's a real one. Said she was on her way to get me. But right as I'm packing, I get a call. It's the sketchy plug who sold me the pill. And he dropped a nuke on me. He knew everything. He told me the shared vision was a rare glitch, but here's the catch. If the police catch this killer, the connection severs and I go blind again, forever. The only way to keep my 20/20 vision, I had to unalive the killer myself. I was frozen. I couldn't go back to the dark. It's like telling a fish it can't have water anymore. For the sake of justice and my own eyes, I had to do this myself. I called my bestie back and told her to stay home. Then, I pulled the most toxic move ever. I rejected his friend request. I needed to trigger his ego. I needed him to come to me. 5 p.m., right on cue, he knocks again, pulls the same property management excuse. I played dumb. My toilet is fine, dude. You got the wrong door. Knock again, and I'm calling the cops. Seeing him panic and run away through his own eyes was hilarious. But I knew this wasn't over. My messy hair triggered his weird psycho complex. He was going to sneak in tonight. I grabbed a mirror and set it up in my living room. 10 p.m. hits. He's back, picking my lock with a wire. I'm hiding in my bedroom. Through his pove, he walks into my living room, looks right into the mirror I left, and I finally see his face. Bro was balding. No wonder he hated girls with messy hair. He was just jealous. I realized the pill was affecting his brain too. I just needed to make him lose his mind completely. But then, a knock at the door. It's my neighbor, bringing me midnight snacks. Absolute legend, but terrible timing. Through the mirror, I see the killer smile. He's shifting targets. I dial my neighbor immediately. Run! There's a killer inside! The killer charges out, but my neighbor reflexively throws a bowl of boiling hot crayfish right into his face. He screams in agony, and she bolts, calling the cops. The cops found a bunch of hair in his apartment. He was definitely the guy, but he managed to escape. Honestly, I was kinda happy. If the cops got him, I'd go blind. Over the next few weeks, he hid in the mountains, but there was a problem. My pill was wearing off. I could only see for like 2 hours a day now. Fast forward a whole month, 11:30 p.m. He finally comes back. He sneaks into my room, turns on the light, and grabs my throat. I wake up choking. He looked right at me and laughed. "You think I don't know you're faking being blind?" He revealed that on day one, he knew I wasn't just a clueless blind girl. This whole time, it was a sick game of cat and mouse for him. He was completely unhinged. He loosened his grip just to mock me. That was his mistake. I kicked off the bed and smashed the light switch. Pitch black. Now we were both playing in my territory. "You think the dark stops me?" he yelled. He thought I was just a blind girl trapped in a room. He raised his bat, ready to end it. But my watch hit midnight. My daily vision reset. Suddenly, I had his poov back. I watched him swing at the air where he thought I was. To him, it was pitch black. To me, it was split screen. I grabbed a heavy potted plant, tracked his exact movements through his own eyes, and smash, right on his head. He went down, no pulse. In that exact second, my headache vanished. My eyes cleared up completely. I kept my vision. And taking out the trash? Absolute W. My neighbor just tried to chop my door down, but she's been locked in a psych ward for weeks. It all started when I moved into this high-end apartment complex, apartment 4. At first, I was super hyped. The guy living across the hall was actually pretty chill. He was good-looking, polite, and would even help take out my trash or organize my packages if they were left out. Absolute green flags, right? But his girlfriend was a completely different story. Whenever he left the apartment, she would slowly creep out and just stand in front of my door, not doing anything, just standing there for hours. Imagine opening your door to grab your Uber Eats and seeing someone just staring a hole into your soul. It scared the living hell out of me every single time. Finally, one day, I snapped. I asked her, "Do you need something? Why are you always standing here?" She didn't say a single word. She just gave me this dead, hollow glare, turned around, and slammed her door shut. It was so bizarre. I literally had no idea what her problem was. A few days later, I was driving out and saw the boyfriend waiting at the bus stop with groceries. I offered him a ride. The vibe in the car was super tense, but I had to bring it up. I casually mentioned that his girlfriend constantly standing at my door was seriously creeping me out. He instantly looked panicked. He apologized profusely and admitted that she had some severe mental health issues. He promised he'd keep a better eye on her. For a while, it actually worked. The hallway was empty. I thought the nightmare was over. Fast forward a week. It's the middle of the night. I'm just chilling on my couch, eating watermelon, watching TV. Suddenly, I hear this horrible scraping sound coming from my front door, like metal grinding against metal. It sent shivers down my spine. I grabbed my broom, crept up to the door, and looked through the peephole. My blood ran cold. It was her. But she wasn't just standing there this time. She was holding a massive meat cleaver, violently hacking away at my heavy steel door. I held my breath, terrified she would hear me. I was shaking so bad I could barely dial 911, but I managed to record a 10-second video of the banging before I hid. The cops finally arrived. I threw open the door, fully expecting to see deep gashes in the metal, but the door was pristine, perfect condition, not a single scratch. The cops looked at me like I was insane. Right then, the elevator dings. It's the boyfriend. He walks up, holding a watermelon, looking completely confused. I screamed at him, "Your psycho girlfriend just tried to kill me!" He just stared at me blankly and said, "My girlfriend has been locked in the state psychiatric hospital for the past week." To prove it, he called the hospital right there in front of the cops. The nurse confirmed it. She was asleep in her ward. The cops were furious. They warned me to stop wasting their time and threatened to arrest me for filing a false report. I was speechless. I showed them the video I recorded, but they just said I was faking it. As the cops walked away, the boyfriend stayed behind. He turned his head slowly and gave me this sinister, knowing smile, a look that said, "I won." My entire world crumbled. If she was locked in hospital, who the hell was hacking at my door? And why did he look so happy about it?